Good afternoon. My name is Wanda Thomas. This is Road to Success, and I speak on empowerment. Empowerment is a broad word. I mean, it can reference to so many different things, as such as empowering your life, health, finance, character, your behavior, afflictions, dependencies, education, business, church, the community, family. I mean, the list can go on and on. It's all up to, out of that list, what afflicts you. What do you need in your life to be empowered? I mean, all that I said on this list, it can refer to one person. One person, like, it can be, they may need all of these things in control, So, but I'm going to just take one topic out of that list, and we're going to talk about family. Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics, family. And keep in mind, this is on empowerment. Family, it's time for us to wake up. We got to stop closing our eyes. We got to stop closing our eyes what's going on not only in our own household, but also what's going on in our communities. Mainly the urban communities, because the urban communities is where everything is just open and just running for the fire, opposed to the suburban area. Guys, I'm speaking to you because I want you all to get this. We got to start loving one another. We got to start being better to one another. We got to start loving outfit. It's impossible to love others if you can't even love your own family member. You holding on to hurts and past hurts and in history. You holding on something that your sister or your brother had done 20 years ago, and you don't even speak from this day and you don't even know why. You forgot actually why you don't even speak anymore. We got to change the way we think, people. We're like a carburetor with a lot of gulp in it that's on the streets, and you're pumping out all of this black smoke is coming out the tailpipe. And in order for that car to get fixed, you have to take it to the auto mechanic, so they gotta start from the inside out. Just because they shine it and on the surface doesn't mean it's fixed. They got to get in there, get greasy and get dirty, and they got to dig their hands in that go. Now, I'm not a mechanic, but I used to change my car back in the day, and I knew that my alternator was an issue while my car wasn't starting. I took the battery charge. I had to pour oil in my car and just doing that, get the little dirty cloth in the back. Just even doing that, my hands were filthy. So imagine that mechanic that literally they got to get in that engine or in that tailpipe or however that procedure goes. They taking it off and got to clean it out. And then it goes further than that. They can unattach the tailpipe and clean that out. But then the tailpipe still goes somewhat into the engine. There's a connection there. So the stuff from what's happening in an engine, is dripping down or going down into the tailpipe. Now, I'm not an expert on cars, but I do know everything is attached to something, and that black smoke, and when the tailpipe get gawked out, I remember this stuff called gum out. And I think you had to clean out your tailpipe or something. I may be a little wrong. You had to throw it, you had to pour it in that tail engine. So, but the point, no expert, but I do know mechanics have to get themselves dirty when they're fixing your cars. That's the same with us, guys. When we are broke down, something is wrong. You have to reflect. You have to recognize it. Don't always keep waiting for someone to point out to you. You know when you're wrong, or if you don't know that you are wrong for cussing that person out, and all they were trying to do is do their job, and you don't think there's a problem the way you conduct yourself, that's already an issue. Look at your neighbor and say, I want to change. Come on. Look to your left and right and say, I want to change. I want to change. Because until we change our mindset, the way that we think, we're going to always be in a hindering, stagnated stage. Because you're going to go the next 30 years of your life thinking, long as I got my pension, long as I, mine's is taken care of, and not worrying about nothing else that's going on around the world. That's a selfish way of thinking. If we're going to love one another and help one another, we got to step outside our comfort zone, guys. We got to step outside the families. We got to step outside. It got to be more in life than just you and yours. Because I tell you, thank God for God. He said, love me with all your heart and all your soul, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Those 2 commandments hold on everything. And I thank God for God, because I can't rely, in this time of day, I can't rely on my neighbor. But just because I can't rely on my neighbor doesn't mean my neighbor can't rely on me. Because I want more out of life, and to get more out of life and to see progress in my life, I gotta make friends. Not only make friends just to have friends, to say I have friends, or even just build associates, to want to help. If I see my neighbor in need, I want to be able to send them to the right place. If I can't help them, whether, help is not always you got to give someone money. Help is not always about money. Sometimes just your time, because unfortunately with this economy, a lot of us don't have it anymore. And, our friends and neighbors are getting upset because we thinking, back in the day we used to have it, and thinking that you have it and you can't help me if you want to. And that's not the case. I really believe if a family member has the means and the funds to help their family or their friends, I believe without them struggling or taking out of their personal or taking out of their business expenses that they have to take care of things outside of that, I believe they will give you, what you need if it's finances. And sometimes maybe they don't have it. Maybe, just their time, just them putting their time in, just listening. Sometimes people just want to vent. We should be there in that capacity. We need to be more observant. I know we tired moms. I know we tired dads. But we're losing our kids. I know you got to do what you got to do. I know you working that late shift. I get that. And you all probably saying, oh, you stand up there and you probably don't have a kid or a chick. And truth be told, I don't. But I'm not oblivious to society and what's going on, what's happening with these kids. And I got personal hands-on with my own personal relative. I may not have my own biological child, but I got beautiful nephews and nieces that's at that precious age, that teenage stage where their minds are impressionable, and this peer pressure is out of control. And I love them like they were my own child. That is my blood. I don't want to see anything happening to them in the street because it's not my kid, so I'm less attached to it or less emotional about it. That's not true. Just like the love I have for my kinfolk, I have the same love for that child that I hear that got hurt or killed or slaved in the street. And turn out they were a good kid at that. That's painful. Yes, everyone shares their emotions differently. They show their emotion differently. That doesn't mean they're emotionless, and that doesn't mean they're not feeling something. So people, we have to stop judging. We have to stop judging, and we have to start getting more involved, because we're losing our young women. We're losing them to the thugs, our beautiful young daughters. For whatever reason, they're attracted to that, to the worst of the worst. They know that they're into a lot of criminal activities, but what is attracting them to that? Why? Think about it, dads, the girls. Think about it. Either the dads, they don't have a dad, or the dad is working, or the dad is not talking to that young lady. Because that young girl that was raised in a home with their mom and dad, that young lady is really looking for that, and that dad took care of his. Makes a big difference. That young lady is looking for that young man who reminds her of her father. And when I say reminds her of her father, reminds her of the security that her father gave her and how her father treated her like a queen, a little princess. If that father is treating that daughter like that, there's no way on God's green earth that she's going to allow some muck to come and teach her any other way. And even if she falls short and happen to go that route, I can assure you it's only going to be briefly, because in the back of her mind, the only thing that's going to be going on is that she was raised right. She had a dad who told her what kind of men to watch out from, what kind of boys, and to prepare herself and how to be a lady. And then she had the mother with the sensitivity to speak on how to conduct yourself as a young lady. And, in doing those things that, you're supposed to do, you should do to raise one up. I tell you, guys, life is awesome. This is empowerment. Woo. When I speak of empowerment, it's so broad. I want you guys to get this. We got to take back our streets. How do we do that? I'm not just up here and just saying stuff because it sounds good. I'm not just up here saying those things because it sounds good. When anyone that knows me that's in my personal space, they know me. Wanda's a doer. When Wanda speak, Wanda do. She don't just sit back because it sounds good. She's a doer. Anyone that knows me, they will tell you. So myself, as I speak on the different things and people hire my services or listen, want to hear on different topics that I speak on, to help them. What can they do? What can I do to help my daughter? There's so many ways and so many directions that you can do to help your daughter and to help your young man. And when that father is there in the household, that young man also is know what a man is, opposed to a thug out in the street or a criminal. When that father he was raised up under was a hardworking man. Yeah, sometimes dads can be a little more tougher with the guys or whatever. Sometimes it'll make them, sometimes it'll break them, and they'll leave the nest for a minute. But eventually they'll come back. They'll come back to their senses. It can be a week, it can be a month, it can be a year, it can be 10 years. Who knows? But eventually, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, especially when you know what you had, it's like the prodigal son. When you know what you had, why would you keep wallowing in a pig fest when you got this beautiful home and a father who loves you? You can't have that much pride and rather live in the street when you can always just go back home. And that's what the prodigal son did. He came to his senses and he went back home. You know? So, guys, we got to start embracing our family. We got to start talking to our kids. We got to start doing more interventions with each other. We always ready to get a counselor or get a doctor, or we're telling everybody what's happening in your household is not the solution. It's you, because let me tell you, there's not one person in here, not one person that is not intelligent, has common sense, has book smart. Some of you in here may just got common sense. Some of you in here may just have book smart. Some of you in here may just have street smart. And then some of you in here got them all. And when you got them all, there is no stopping you. So I say that in all due respect. Everyone in here got wits and got smarts in whatever form of fashion. You have eyes. You got ears. You see the change in your kinfolk. You see the change in your child. You see that change. So when do you start questioning? You see their homework. You can't get so consumed with work, because I know you're putting the bread on the table. Somewhere in through all work, because this is a lot of escape for a lot of parents, we have to take responsibility too. We're not living in that time where there's just no room for growth anymore. We make choices and we stay somewhere where we hate to begin with, but you're just waiting to retire, but you hate it. You know, and with that, and when you hate something, you bring that home. So when you bombard it in all of your mess, you don't even see your daughter or your son changing in front of you, because you know why? You got your own mess going on. And when they're trying to talk to you and tell you in their own little cryptic way, as kids talking codes, they're not going to come to you the way we as adults do and say, you know, Sally, let me tell you what's happening with, you know, Bob and why we parted, and or why this is going on, or why I lost my job, or we'll go in detail and break it down. That kid, they're not an adult. They're not going to come to you like that. They may, first of all, their behavior is going to change. First of all, they're kids. So they don't even know the signs. They're just going with the flow because they no longer have control of what they do, especially if they're now doing drugs. They're really out of control. And let's just take the drugs out the equation. Let's say they're not doing drugs, but they're changing their action, their attitude. Why? Something's going on in school. They may be getting in, fights and not telling you. The school haven't reported it as yet because they may not know. There may be a group of girls that's bothering them, or a group of boys that's bothering your son, and and they have this code in today where there's no squealing. We squealed like a bird when I was coming up. We squealed. He messing with me. She messing with me. Mom. But this code thing going on, nobody tells anyone anything anymore. Nobody tells anyone anything. They just go with the flow and their solution, because once again, they're kids. Well, I'm going to join that game because I at least can get protection now in my school, in my neighborhood, and these girls can leave me alone or whatever. But there's consequences when they join that game. They may be joining it not because they're a bad kid and they want to get caught up in a lot of craziness. They sick of getting beat up. They sick of getting called out. They sick of being embarrassed, whatever that group of girls doing to this young lady or whatever. So, and they're not telling you guys. And when they're trying to tell you, they're telling you in their behavior change. Let me tell you something. Anytime you live with a kid for an extended period of time, from birth or a short period, whatever, you already, okay, as an adult, it is our job to be Inspector Gadget. You can't just let these kids run and do and behave any kind of way. If you are a respectable adult and you want the best for your child, it is important you know how they're doing in school. It is important that again, how they conduct themselves and how they're doing in school, checking their homework. You can take the initiative and call the school yourself and talk to their teachers, and on your day off, come up to the school, just do a sweep through, a drive by, you may add. And and a funny thing about that is, don't let your kid know that you coming, so you can catch them off guard. And you can get firsthand exactly how this kid is acting, so you can see the difference. So you don't have to be in shock when that letter comes home, because you saw firsthand how your child is acting in school. And then when they get home, they have this whole, Miss Goody Two-Shoe personality going on, or vice versa. So it is our responsibility. Sometimes we drop the ball, parents. We drop the ball. Unfortunately, we didn't come with a instruction book. But there are so many self-learned information, self-learned books and programs that we can get involved to understand our kids better and want to do better and do better by our children. It ain't about us anymore. Yeah, granted, you working around the clock putting food on the table. It ain't about us anymore. We got to raise that child up to the best of our ability. We have to raise them up so they can make better choices. How that child is raised up, not always necessary. The choices that child make, the decisions that they make, sometimes it's how that child was raised. And then there's that gray area. Then that's just a choice that child made, because that child could have been raised up in a two-parent home or single-parent home and had all sorts of love, security, protection, contentment. And then that child can still go out or grow up or at the age where they are and still make bad decisions. That's their choice. So there's that gray area there. So it's no longer black and white, or because we can't even say that today. We can't. Back in the day, probably we could have, but our children have so much information right there at their fingertips. All of these electronic gadgets, we got the computer, the internet, the stuff that they have access to. They're more wiser and quicker than us when we were their age. And that's just the truth of the matter. Who wants to say that? But I'm saying at the age they are now, they were smarter than us at that age. I ain't saying they're smarter than us now. They got a lot of information, but do they use, and good or bad information? And the thing about that is, do they use it for the best, or do they use it for the worse? So they may have the information, but how are they utilizing that information? So with that said, guys, we got to embrace the family. We got to get better. We got to come together as a community. We got to start voicing our opinion. We got to start going to the meetings at City Hall to have our voices heard. And everything don't always have to be a battle. Everything don't always have to be a fight. We need to make those PTA meetings at the school. And you know, it's sad because when they have those Walmart and all of these different retail stores sales, people are standing out line at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning, and the line is endless. But when it's time for a PTA meeting, you lucky if you got 10 parents out of 1,500 students. That's a shame. And then parents, you want to complain and shout and fight when your child get a letter and was accused of something. How would you know? You've never checked on them a day since they've been going to school. You got your letter, but you never made it up there. But yet you're ready to fight. It's a shame how we act. I was born and raised in Essex County, North projects. I'm familiar with Essex County, East Orange, Irvington, Bloomfield, Belleville. We was on the borderline of Belleville because I was down there in North Irvington. I lived in Orange, East Orange. I lived in Irvington. You know, I live here there now. You know, I'm familiar. I'm familiar in this area. You know, in this surrounding area. And let me tell you, I'm always downtown Newark. I'm always conducting businesses. I'm always conducting business, and I'm always doing business. And I go into places, and I tell you, just the way we talk to the customer service, and then they don't make it no better. They're ready, and their chest is all amped up, ready to come back at you. And I just stand there, and I just watch the person that's in line that's all amped up in because they had to wait 20 minutes longer or something may have happened. Now they standing there huffing and puffing. And now they're shaking their heads and popping their lips and snapping their fingers. And then when they get up at the counter to the rep, they ready to, the customer rep, they now getting smart and they're nasty. And the customer rep, she from Newark, from the surrounding area, so she ready to get nasty and pop her fingers and snap her heads right with you. Come on, guys. We got to grow up. We got to change the way we behave. We have to so change the way we behave, because the way that we're behaving, this is what our kids, they're seeing this, and we're not helping them. We're not helping them at all. So we have to start changing the way that we conduct ourselves. Well, I hope this was enlightening to you all. I hope that you got something out of this. My name is Wanda Thomas, and I speak on empowerment. This is Road to Success, and I speak on empowerment. You can go to my website, and you can hear more programs. And my website is www.roadtosuccess1.com. And you can hear different topics that I speak on, and to the youth, and just things. My whole purpose, guys, of doing what I'm doing, I want to help. I do hands-on. I do role playing for jobs. Those who you keep losing jobs, or you're trying to go through it, you're doing a transition from a job. Help with resume building and techniques, what to look for with on your resume, as well as the job is looking for, as well as preparing you if you're transitioning or looking for a job, giving you different tips in how to prepare yourself to be ready when you go out on a job interview and to follow up, whether you got the job or not, because you never know that kindness or you following up, you never know what door that could have opened. So I'm always speaking on empowerment because it's powerful and it's important that we change our mind, the way we think, our mindset. Our psyche, guys, sometimes is a little diluted and puzzled, and it's confused. And we conduct ourselves according to how we feel. We got to bring the family back together. And if we all out of control, how is it that we're going to be able to bring the family together if we're out of control? It's not going to happen. So we got to start doing better. We got to start doing better. We got to start reading more self-help tapes, reading our Bible, so that we can find that spiritual food. Because when you have peace, there's nothing you can do. But everything when you have peace, because you have a sound mind. You have a sound mind. You're not letting people push you into something, rushing you, saying, well, you got to make anytime somebody is pushing and rushing you to get into something or do something, and they can't wait for you to come at your time. They can't wait for you to make a decision. Then whatever they're trying to push you into, then it's not for you. It's not for you then, because their pressure is not the determination of your life. You are the navigator of your life. You are the captain of your ship. You are. God has given us the tools already. The Bible says he is the author and finisher of our lives. That's true. But we're still in this world, but not of this world. And we still have to navigate. We still have to navigate. You got to get up in the morning. You got to go to work. You got to get the kids out, the husband out. You got to go to work, so on, so forth. So we still got to do things as well as God being that author and finisher. We still must do things to not only have a peace of mind, but to start shaking and moving and seeing elevation in our own lives. You can't keep sitting around hoping and waiting for somebody to come through and waiting for that person to, you know, to make it better for you. You got to get a credit, you got to get someone to fix your credit, and you got to wait for somebody to come and fix this and fix that and do this and do that. When are we going to take responsibility? When are we going to take out a little bit of time ourselves and just try to do these things on our own? Some things we can do on our own if we just take out time and stop being lazy. Right? So, folks, I'm getting ready to go. It was my pleasure. And I pray that you all got something out of this. I know I have. Every time I speak, I get more and more. I walk away because the more and more you speak on goodness, you read self-help books, you read empowerment books, you reading business books. In your mind, in your psyche, in your subconscious, all you building is you reading the Bible. You reading the characteristics of God, you know, the Holy Spirit, all of that great stuff. You learning how to love, how to forgive, how not to judge. Just be a family, be there, learn to forgive one another. You learning how to be a successful businessman or a successful businesswoman. You're following your goals. You're following your dreams. all of these different, this is the stuff that you are taking in. You're cleaning out that toxic now. You're cleaning out that black gulp I first spoke of in the beginning of this. You're cleaning that black gulp out now. You're no longer driving in the streets in your car with this black smoke coming out your car, because you're cleaning that toxin. It's toxic. Now you're filling yourself up. You're reprogramming yourself with goodness, better decisions you're making, critical thinking. You using your mind. You're making better choices. You're much happier. You're talking to your children. Yeah, nobody, kids, who wants to, you only want mommy and daddy when you hurt yourself. But when you get of age and teenagers don't want to be up under their parents. You want, you want to, well, let me say this. I love growing up when I did, with my siblings, because it was a lot of us. When I had a birthday party, we didn't have to invite anybody because it was so many of us. I enjoyed sitting around watching, we all on the same page, watching a program, that ABC movie that's getting ready to come on Channel 7. When I was growing up in the early 70s, and we sitting around, me and my siblings and my mom, and we're watching a movie. We cut the light off and the movie is on, and all of us little baby kids is just sitting there, at attention, watching TV. I love growing up when I did, because it was more unity then. There was more respect and order. I wasn't raised up when parents is calling their kids little B's and little S's and stuff like that, and cussing them out like that baby. The stuff that I see in the street, baby this big and barely can walk, and they're 10 feet behind the mother, and the mother is saying, "Come on, you little B." That's horrible. I wasn't raised like that. Your mom reprimands you, she reprimands you. I think the most came out of my mother's mouth, "I'm going to beat your A." And she would use the sugar honey iced tea word. She would use that. And that's the most came out of my mother's mouth. So those other B's and MFs, and wow, like, this is deep. Guys, we got to be ready to correct one another. We have to love one another more if we're going to correct each other. And we're correcting not to judge. We're correcting to better one another. We can't be afraid. We're afraid of each other. Someone carrying on and cussing and face always twisted up. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Much as I be wanting to say something pleasant, they be so tight in the face, it'll make me just say, you know what, I'll say a silent prayer for them and keep it going. Because I don't have the energy to deal with all of that anger that is balled up in that person. They got so much anger, the expression on their face, they probably ain't even mad, but they have so much anger and bitterness in their life that the expression look like that they just going through a personal hell of their own. Those walk down the street and they face all twisted up. It's a beautiful day. We woke up this morning. We should always have something pleasant to say or pleasant to look forward to because we woke up this morning. Oof, I tell you. Guys, I love you. You were an awesome audience, and I pray that you take something away what I said, because this is all about empowerment, and it's to help you. Once again, this is Wanda Thomas. I speak on empowerment. You can go to my website for additional programs you would like to hear, and I'll be having a Christian book coming out for teenagers. I have that out soon. It'll be on my website, and for purchase, of course, and different self-help tapes, empowerment tapes that you can learn on and just listen. Sometimes it's good to, it's good to get these books, the Joyce Meyer books, the Creflo Dollar books, because not only is teaching about God, it's helping you, because it's testimonies in those books. Testimonies and scriptures referencing you to go to the Bible, and you can see how their situation, how they lined their situation up with what was in the Bible and how they came out victoriously, and then there's other books outside of the Christian genre, and you got other folks who still just, had wrote books on how to have a peace of mind, and how to build your kingdom, or you got all kind of different self-help things, books and tapes to help you have a better, successful life. This is not it, guys. Just this square block we live in. Life is bigger than this. And you got to get outside these walls. And when I say these walls, I'm talking about outside your neighborhood, outside of New York, outside of your surrounding area, and see the world. Because then you'll learn to appreciate it. The more you travel, the more you become adventurous. Those things that used to bombard you and bother you won't bother you anymore, because your mind is expanding. It's expanding. You're taking in so much knowledge. You're seeing things that you thought you will never have seen before. You're thinking of things that you thought you would never think before. And life is awesome. It's what you make it. Guys, I come from North too. I come from North, born and raised. And my whole purpose is out to touch a person a day. That if I can help them with my resources, or whatever resources I may not have, and can lead them to one of my buddies or partners or an associate that can help you in that area. If you and that's another thing. For instance, all of you out there know someone who's looking for someone for a job. All of you out there have some kind of resources one way or another, whether it's personal or direct with you, or you know someone indirectly that's looking for someone with certain skills for a job. It's too many of you guys out there not to know somebody who have resources in this employment, have resources in, programs maybe for this person. It can help drug programs or employment or whatever, helping, that person. There's a lot of you probably sitting out there that got dreams and want to build businesses, but never thought that you were smart enough, or never thought that anyone would take you serious, or never knew how to go about it. Well, I'm here to tell you. Here's some material there with my contact information on it. Let me tell you, as nice as I am, I can be something when it comes to wasting my time. Now, I have some material there with my contact information, my website. You can check me out. You can go to my website and listen to some other programs and purchase tapes or that sort. And I will also take out the time to coach you, consult with you. But I don't like my time wasted. I will give the shirt off my back, but I don't like my time wasted. If any of you out there contact me through email or call me, please be ready to move. I'm giving you and even if you're not ready to move and just calling for some information, I'm going to give it. And if you happen to call again, don't even waste your time calling me back if you haven't even taken care of the initial information that I've given you to get started. It's like I can lead the horse to the water, but I can't make him drink. So I can give you the tools like God has already given us, But now it's up to you to go through the next door. Because I gave you my resources. I gave you the information you needed from A to Z, because I'm a thorough person. I'm a very thorough person. So I give you information from A to Z. Utilize it and then follow up when you have done those things, because the first thing I'm going to ask that you do anything that I told you to do. And when you tell me, well, I'm hanging up on you because I don't got the time, and I'm going to keep it real. Okay. So again, my purpose of being up here, I want to be resourceful. I don't want to just be up here and you guys don't get nothing from it. I want you to have access to me within moderation. So my hours are from 8 to 5. You can catch me. I'll give you an initial consultation to get started. And from that point on, it's a fee. For whatever else, I'll give you a start off of what you need to do. You want to sign up to within my class, it's a fee. And I'll take you more thorough in what you need to do. Okay? So I want to thank you guys once again. I'm Wanda Thomas. This is Road to Success. I speak on empowerment. We were talking about families today. And you can go to my website at www.roadtosuccess1.com. I have information over there. So it has my personal email and my phone number and website. You have total access to me with the limitations. Okay? So, join Facebook, become a friend. You can find me on there, Wanda Thomas. So I'm looking forward to hearing from a lot of you all. And I thank you and God bless.